There you go, you're in.
Hello and welcome to the FDT-TV podcast with myself, Ian, and Mike.
Well,
Hey, go on, you can introduce yourself. You've been here long enough.
hello, Mike.
It's amazing, isn't it? We're almost 60 episodes in, or it might be 60 episodes in, and we still haven't quite got a real proper setup for how we do this yet. But it doesn't stop you guys from listening, which is always good. But we are going to start off with some really positive news. And that positive news is we do have a champion.
We do.
Um,
I'm not going to spoil it.
Yeah, we do have a champion. It's not me. It came close. It did come close. So the last week of the season made it a little bit more interesting, especially with some of the results. So without further ado, Mike, would you like to reveal the results?
Yes, I will. So we last week was a bit of a whirlwind tour. Lots of stuff was going on. And we actually talked quite a lot about what was going on in the world of football with the one goods, one bads, the season reviews and all that sort of stuff. But we didn't actually get around to talking about the actual results. So going back to the last week in the Premier League, we had Crystal Palace versus Arsenal, West Ham versus West Brom, Arsenal versus Brighton, West Ham versus Southampton. Just very quickly of the scores, it was Arsenal Crystal Palace. You had 2-2, I had 1-3. And Arsenal won 1-3, so it's 3 points to me, 0 points to you because you had a draw. West Brom, West Ham, you had 3-1 win. I had a 2-1 win. 3 points to you, 1 point to me. So I thought I had after the Arsenal game, I was like, yes, I've got it in the bag. And then West Ham scored right in the death of that game, and you ended up with 3 points, you bastard. Arsenal versus Brighton. It was a game that I thought the pair of us thought it was going to be quite a difficult game, and it ended up being quite a comfortable 2-0 win. You had 2-1 to Brighton, I had 2-1 to Arsenal. I get a point. And then in the West Ham Southampton game, you had 1-0, I had 1-1. It was 3-0, so a point to you. So that actually put our points for those two fixtures, 4 points to you, 5 points to me. I did have a slight cushion going into that last fixture, but as you mentioned, it was quite a tight one. Coming into the Champions League final, we did have some bonus points on that. Manchester City versus Chelsea, which we'll come on to in a bit. Chelsea winning 1-0. You had 6-1 to Manchester City. I had 3-1 to Manchester City. Neither of us got any points on that, so there's no points for that. So coming to the season totals. Ian, you finished on 53 points, and I finished on 56.
Championes, ole, ole.
On FIFA, but I can win the proper. This is the real quiz. Mwah. For another season.
You did win a trophy at the last FIFA day. Don't sell yourself short.
Phil won the last one. I won the inaugural one. I didn't win the last one.
What, the toilet trophy?
Yes, which I do have sitting on my desk because a certain Phil Banham decided to leave it around my flat.
Oh, he did, yeah. He refused to take his prestigious award of a poo.
Yeah, which says, at least I tried on it. So I am the inaugural winner of this. My name is on this trophy. Well, it's not, but it should be. And Phil is the current holder of the at least I tried trophy. But more importantly, the FDT-TV Predictions Cup. It's still with me.
Mate, you've won more this year than Spurs have won in a while. So be proud of that.
I am. I'm very proud. It was good fun. I enjoyed that. It's only good fun because I won. Granted, next season when you end up taking over, I'm gonna wish it was never in existence.
I might go for some more reasonable results next season. We'll wait and see. I say that now. But Champions League final.
Yes,
we both got it wrong.
The Europa League final, actually,
and Europa League final. Europa League final, I think was fantastic. It just goes to show how shit Manchester United actually are. And David De Gea has now missed saving the last 40 penalties that he's had taken against him.
I cannot believe that stat. That was ludicrous. I know Peter Cech wasn't very good at saving penalties for us. But I don't even think even his number stretched into that sort of figures. That is an astronomical amount. And he even had the ways of the players written down on his bottle.
Yep.
That is crazy.
Here's the thing, right? If you put me in goal against 40 Premier League or top level footballers, all 40 penalties, I reckon I'm getting at least one of them. Do you know what I mean?
Even I reckon I could.
No, at least one I'm saving. 40s are horrendous. And then he missed. I do think he's on the way out of Manchester United in the summer. I can't. After that performance, I mean, the whole team were below par, but after that performance,
should have sold him.
Yeah, well, when they could have got 100 million for him a couple of years ago.
Yep.
Yeah, but the Champions League, very strange talking points for me. Obviously, Chelsea come out victorious against Manchester City again. It's the first time Pep Guardiola has ever lost 3 games in a one season to one club. And a lot of people said they blamed him for the team selection. Right?
Yeah.
What's your take on his team selection? Because I have a very certain opinion of it.
To be honest, it was a bit of a strange one, and especially when you have the likes of Aguero on the bench. Now, I know he's had his injury problems and stuff this season, and his last performance in a Manchester City shirt. There must have been some kind of underlying niggle or something, one would assume, that he wouldn't have been able to last the entire 90 minutes to 120, depending on the result, if it went into extra time or whatever. But I think when you're chasing the game, let's be honest, for as long as they were, because it wasn't just the goal that made it was the goal that made the difference. But I mean, Chelsea, I think, could have had 5 or 6 during the course of the game, and I think that you're lucky that Timo Werner was on the receiving end of some of those shots, because he was abysmal. But again, had it been someone that was more clinical, it could have been a cricket score. It could have been 6-1 the other way, to the prediction that you made. So I do find it strange with the false number 9 that they had. Kevin De Bruyne, obviously, unfortunately, to come off injured in such a manner as well that he did. I thought was a bit of, as we've mentioned on the show, a bit of shithousery from Rudiger, I think it was, that caused the foul, and he ended up fracturing his cheekbone and something else like that.
And his nose, yeah.
Yeah, that was it. Come away with a black eye before he'd even left the pitch. So yeah, that was a bit unfortunate. I think if you were to keep him on for the latter stage of the game, because Manchester City did start growing into the game, but I think at that point it was too little too late, and Chelsea, they went to, I think, 11 at the back. Yeah, and it was hard for them to break down Chelsea throughout the entirety of the game. But yeah, it was a bit of a strange one, considering how attack-minded Manchester City have been all season. To come up with a performance that they did was very lackluster.
Yeah. Do you think that Kevin De Bruyne is the sort of guy who will get a T-shirt printed saying, "I went to the Champions League final 2021 and all I got was a black eye"? Do you think...
Should we get one?
I don't think he will go down to if we get one. But I mean, if it was me, you'd have to, wouldn't you? Just it is what it is. Now, a lot of people moaning because either Fernandinho or Rodri have played every game for Manchester City this season. And they've been very successful in the way they played. They were missing that sort of deep midfielder. And everyone's saying that because they didn't play like that, that's why they lost. And personally, I think Pep Guardiola's gone of the thinking, well, they've beat us twice recently playing like that. And both of those players have played in those games, or one in one and one in the other. So it hasn't worked. So he's thinking will be, right, we need to change it up because that's how they think we're going to come at them. Let's do it slightly differently. And if he'd won, if Manchester City had won, he would be touted as a tactical genius and the saviour of Manchester City, breaking the curse of not being able to beat Chelsea sort of this end of the season. But because it didn't go to plan, he's now the bad guy, and actually everyone's saying he's inept and doesn't really know what he's doing. And you think, well, because they didn't win, there was no winning for him. I think if he'd won, then he would have been brilliant. Because he's lost, then he hasn't got a clue. Do you know what I mean? It's an unwinnable argument with some people. I do think if you played that game 100 times, I think City come out on top more often than not. I really do. But he also showed some faith in Raheem Sterling, who's had a bit of a torrid end of torrid season, really. And he did nothing. Some would say Sterling is not accepted in Europe.
Yeah, I did see that he hadn't scored in his last 12 games or so. Or there was some stat, it was either 12 or 20 games. I can't remember exactly what it was. But yeah, there actually talks about Raheem Sterling leaving Manchester City during this transfer window. And I think there was another player, I can't remember who it was.
Gabriel Jesus.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm talking about being sold.
Summer's been it's been touted a little bit that those two will be offered in a swap deal with Harry Kane. Jesus would fit into Tottenham's wage structure, but the £300,000 a week of Raheem Sterling would not. But from what I've read today, Arsenal are also making noises about signing Raheem Sterling. So, no.
Yeah, it would be good possibly to see someone of that caliber, because on his day, I mean, he massively improved. He was good at Liverpool for the majority of his Manchester City career. I mean, he's had to fucking work hard at it. But certainly last season, the season before, absolutely phenomenal. It's just, again, it's something I've mentioned a lot, possibly over the pandemic, where players are not able to kind of hit the heights that they potentially would be able to because they haven't got the crowd behind them, etc., etc. But obviously, I do take your point that you've said in the counter argument that if you can't get yourself up for £100,000 a week, you shouldn't be playing football. So I do kind of see it from both sides of the story. But yeah, I genuinely think now that we're starting to see people come back in, we will see the better form of some players.
Yeah, definitely. I do think it will have a major effect in a good way on some players, in a bad way on others. Obviously, known as the 12th man, and crowds do really make a difference. But they didn't win. There's no more that we said about it. All they need to do is move on. We still haven't heard any more about where Harry Kane is going. Chelsea don't seem to be that interested in him. Manchester United don't seem to be that interested in him. That really only leaves City, doesn't it?
Yep.
And as we said in a live podcast, if you missed it, subscribe. You won't miss it again. But if City sign Kane, I think he's on for at least a 30-goal season, and they're going to be unstoppable.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, it is one, I think, because he did. Harry Kane did come out and say, didn't he, they wanted it all sorted out before the start of the Euros. Now, I know, obviously, I think the transfer window's just opened. That it could be very difficult to get something or someone of that caliber over the line that quickly. I mean, we never know. There might be stuff already in the pipeline for it, but I doubt it'll be done, considering we've got 10 days now to the start of the Euros. Yeah, I think this is one that's going to drag on possibly right to the start of the season.
Yeah, I mean, we have seen players move during the Euros as well, and the fact that, say, we're going to be in England for a lot of it anyway, potentially means that could still happen in between games. But that is a very good segue into the Euro squad. Gareth Southgate has trimmed his squad back down to 26 men from the 33. Mason Greenwood made him an easy decision of being one of the 7 to get rid of because he withdrew through injury. But, Mike, we have some controversial, some sort of ones that we knew were going to miss out. So the players that have missed out, do you want to talk us through them?
Yeah, so we've got Aaron Ramsdale, Ben White, Ben Godfrey, James Ward-Prowse, Jesse Lingard, and Ollie Watkins have all been omitted from the 26-man squad for the upcoming Euros.
Yeah, I think the two given there that weren't going to make it were Ben White. He's had a reasonable season for Brighton, pardon me, but he's still a young lad. And I think it was just to give him that a taste of actually, let's have a look at you in the England setup. How are you holding yourself? Are you confident that you'd be able to do this? And the other one being Aaron Ramsdale, who's been relegated twice in 2 seasons. I think that was a bit of a let's have a look at you, because he's done well at a lower level for England, but is he ready for the step up? I don't think so. The ones that really shocked me, if I'm honest, from what Gareth Southgate was saying beforehand, is he likes the players that are versatile, can play in many different positions, because at a tournament you don't know what's going to happen, and actually if you've got a player that can play in 4 positions and do that reasonably well, then we're sort of solid. And for that reason, Ben Godfrey was the biggest one. He's played across the back, left back, centre back, right back, and defensive midfield for Everton this season, and done pretty well at it. Got a bit more into that in a little bit. But say James Ward-Prowse, for your set pieces, phenomenal. I think he's had a really good season. All right, Southampton haven't maybe hit the heights that they would have liked, but done reasonably well. And Jesse Lingard, he's got to be one of the most informed players in the Premier League at the moment. Yet he's been kicked out the Euro squad. That's the biggest shock to me.
Yes, I agree, and obviously we were just having a quick chat about it before we went to record. That for me was one of the biggest shocks, because as you mentioned, he's been outstanding in the second half of the season. Obviously didn't get a look in for the first half of the season. Obviously he got back into form. Obviously he stated that he wanted to be able to play in the Euros, and I think his form was unquestionable since he's been playing for West Ham. And I think he's been robbed of a chance. So it's like all that hard work to not get rewarded. And it was something, just drawing back to something that Gareth Southgate said when he came in as the England manager, and said that he will only be picking players on form.
Yep.
And I do get that there are some players in the list that possibly could some have obviously deserved their places.
Yep.
Others, I think, I don't know too much about what they do in terms of comparing them to the form of Jesse Lingard. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
I think he's been absolutely outstanding, and I do genuinely feel sorry for him for not making the squad.
We did say beforehand, I personally think this is going to be Gareth Southgate's last tournament. I think after this one, he's done with England. I think that he's not going to be the England manager any longer. I think his time has run. I personally think he should have stopped when, like the last World Cup, where we come off, everyone was on a high. You know, it was brilliant. He was the best thing since sliced bread. I think he should have quit while he was ahead. He's now gone on a little bit too long and gone, actually, I've fucked this up. You were saying about a form and stuff. The one player I thought might miss out for Jesse Lingard would be Marcus Rashford. We know Marcus Rashford. He seems to have been around for ages, but he's still a very young man. Does a lot, obviously off the pitch. Not knocking that at all. What I'm looking at it from is purely a footballing perspective, and he's not in form. I mean, you look at the Europa League final. He played it. He wasn't good. He hasn't been good all season. So I've got a few stats here. So Rashford has played 37 games against Lingard's 16. So with that, you go, actually, he should be in better form. He's more match sharp, the rest of it. He scored 11 goals. Jesse Lingard scored 9 in more than half the games, or less than half the games. Rashford's got 9 assists to Lingard's 4. So, okay, he's maybe assisting a bit more being out on the left. But still, when you compare how he's played over double the games, in total, it's not great. Shots on target. So, bear in mind, 37 games, he's had 37 shots on target. So, he's getting 1 shot on target a game. Lingard's 16 games, 22 shots on target. So he's finding the goal more often. Not necessarily getting the goal always, but he's getting on target more often per match and more than one a match. And the fact that one is playing for a team that finished second, I want to say, did they finish second? Yeah, they did, didn't they? And one was punching well above their weight in West Ham, who finished sixth. Those stats should be the other way round. And the big one for me that really hit home was the big chances missed. Only 2 in 16 games for Jesse Lingard, but 11 in 37. We've not got 37 games to miss these chances. You've got to be at knockout football, at tournament, you have to be clinical. And England have been hit by that before by not being clinical enough. And the fact that he's out of form, his head may have dropped after losing a final, and before that he wasn't sort of red hot in the league. I just feel it's a mistake for me. It really is. I can't get my head around that one. I like Marcus Rashford as a player, especially when he is in form. But are they going to turn it round? It's not like we've got an easy group, is it? To do it. So, but that's my comparison for the Lingard one. The other 2 players I would like to talk about quickly: Harry Maguire and Jordan Henderson. Both been hit with injuries. Harry Maguire obviously was only out for a shorter amount of time. And I compared him to Godfrey. If you want to hear that, if not, then don't worry. Jordan Henderson's been out for a long time. He's only just returned to fitness. He hasn't really played much football. And for James Ward-Prowse to miss out, I'll just give you a quick one here. So Ward-Prowse has played 38 games this season to Henderson's 21. James Ward-Prowse has scored 8 goals. Jordan Henderson has scored 1. Ward-Prowse has got 7 assists. Jordan Henderson's got 1. So I can't get my head around it. He's not match sharp. He's returning from an injury, so chances is he might get injured again during the games. So he has taken a punt on him from saying leadership. But I would rather have a fit player than a leader. You know, he can still be around. There's not anything to say he can't train with the team and boost stuff. But I just can't get my head around it.
I can't.
We've got two warm-up games, and I don't know who they're against. I know one's tomorrow, and he's confirmed Jesse Lingard is starting in one of his press conferences. And for that, I think that's a mistake. I commend all of the England players who have been dropped, because Gareth Southgate gave them all the chance to go home if they wanted to and no longer be part of the squad, and they all said, no, I want to be here. And as we discussed beforehand, I think that's somewhat of a case for, if there is an injury, you've shown that you still want to be there and be a team player, but also you're still you're now going to try even harder to impress and make sure you're that replacement player. But the fact that he's now going to play Jesse Lingard, if he goes out and gets a hat-trick in the first warm-up game, then Gareth Southgate looks like a complete mug because he's dropped him. Sorry, pardon me. And the other thing is the players from Manchester United, Chelsea and Manchester City are still to link up with the England squad. So I get why he's playing some of these other players, but if they're out of form and you haven't looked at them for them to go, actually, they're really sharp in training, they've just not had their sort of luck in the match, but you haven't watched them in training. So how can you make that judgment? I really struggle with it. I really do.
It's kind of, again, just going back to what you said about the Chelsea, the Man Cities, and the Manchester United players waiting to link up. Obviously, they've been given a bit of a rest, haven't they, before they link up with the England squad, obviously playing the latter stages of the European competitions. However, it's almost, it's kind of like a double-edged sword, isn't it? Because at the one point, obviously you want to be able to represent your country, whether it's in a competitive match or not. You want to go out and you want to put the England jersey on. That, I think, would be the aspirations of all footballers. However, it's almost like, I'm not good enough for you to take away, but you're happy for me to kind of fill in a position just because someone got to a latter stages of a competition. So I kind of get it. To go back to something you just said about obviously if there are any players that pull up because of injuries and stuff, I think they have still got like a week or so where they can make amendments to the actual squad. They just had to announce a squad by, I think it was like 11 o'clock tonight. But like you said, we don't know what happens over football. There could be a couple of injuries that picked up over the next couple of friendlies. And for the people that have obviously showed their willingness to stay with the squad, as you mentioned, it obviously looks favourable upon them that they're there and ready to be called up if necessary. So I kind of see it from both sides.
Yeah.
But there would be a part of me that just want to go, oh, fuck off.
Yeah, and so I think taking that news, especially, and for me, for some of the younger players, could have been a bit more of a kick in the teeth. For Lingard, he has been around the game. He knows how it could happen. But I just feel sorry for him because you think he's the most in form out of a lot of them, and he's missed out. It's not like he's not training well. He's not like he upsets people in the training room. Everyone says how joyous he is, how much life he brings to the locker room. So I don't get it. I mean, Harry Maguire one, I can understand. I mean, I am going to go into something here quickly. I understand taking Harry Maguire from the leadership point of view and the fact that he's fitter than Henderson in that sense. He's not been out for very long, and they've said that he's fit and happy and whatnot. But I'm going to compare him to Ben Godfrey, who missed out. So, similar amount of games, 34 for Maguire, 31 for Godfrey. 13 clean sheets for Manchester United, who finished second. 11 for Godfrey. Everton finished, ninth? I want to say. I may be wrong there.
No, I think you are right. No, Leeds finished 9th, didn't they? I think they finished 10th.
10th. So tackles, right?
Pretty sure of it.
Tackles in 34 games. Harry Maguire made 29 tackles. Ben Godfrey made 55. Successful tackles, and what I mean by successful tackles is where they've recovered the ball, it's not gone out of play, and they've been able to play back on. Harry Maguire, 17 out of 29. Ben Godfrey, 33 out of 55. So he's got a higher percentage where he wins a tackle and it either he's able to control it or it goes to a teammate to recover possession. Errors leading to goal, 1 for Harry Maguire, 0 for Ben Godfrey, which I think is quite good. But fouls, this is what comes into it. And this is partly what I was saying about we've got to be clinical in knockout football. Harry Maguire in 34 games has given away 40 fouls. And he's only played in one position. Ben Godfrey has played across the back and in defensive midfield, as I said, 15 fouls in 31. You think, actually, that one foul, okay, yes, Manchester City have used a tactical foul quite well this year and have done for a number of years. Harry Maguire's not exactly tactical, is he? I mean, I know he sort of got cult status with him riding that blow-up unicorn, and he's known as Slabhead because he's got a big header on him. But actually, if he's giving away more than one foul a game, is that what you want in knockout football? Because it could be a free kick and it's one chance they capitalise on. Just throwing it out there. Come on, Gareth. You should have people looking at these sorts of stats. I mean, is he?
If not, call in.
Exactly. Have you not seen the film Moneyball with Brad Pitt about the baseball?
With Brad Pitt.
That worked quite well. Brentford used that sort of system for their transfers. They're now in the Premier League making a profit every year, selling big players for big money and bringing in someone who's better than them every single year. And I think they will be hard to beat potentially next year if they've got a little bit more money behind them. But why is the England setup not using this? They've got this scouting network. He goes and watches all these games. I'm not saying that he's not he's inept at it, but what's he looking at? What's he looking at in Rashford that's different to what he's looked at in Lingard? You know, I don't understand it. I'm not expecting an answer, but I don't understand it myself. Same with Trippier. What a player he was in the last World Cup. Hero, scoring free kicks, penalties, absolutely blind him. But this season, for Atletico Madrid, he's played 35 games in all competitions. He didn't play in every league game. He got 6 assists and 0 goals. For someone who you want to play at wing back to get up the pitch and get your assists, I don't understand putting him in the squad. And we've got lots of options at right back. Reece James, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Carl Walker, who are all going. I know he likes to use Carl Walker as sort of a centre back. But Aaron Wan-Bissaka didn't even get a look in. But Trippier's going. I don't get it. I don't get it. And it frustrates me that I don't get it. I can't make sense of it.
Unfortunately, it's just unless you're in the mind of the manager, I don't think it's going to be. I mean, just looking at the Champions League situation at the weekend, unless you are the manager, you ain't going to know what as to why. I know you come up with a fairly plausible explanation, and to be honest, it's one of these things I didn't even think of until you said it, and it's like, oh yeah, that's why you'd be a good manager, mate. And I would just be the div kid handing out oranges at half time.
I do
football.
I do understand it's a hard decision to make, and he has to go with a balanced squad on what he thinks best. It may be a case that Trippier's turned up and actually in training has been phenomenal, and you go, actually, there's no way I can't take him. Do you know what I mean? I've not been there and seen it all, and that well could be the case. But for some of the others, I can't get my head around it. He's not going to make everyone happy, and there's players that if you took one out and put another one in, then there's going to be a discussion. Well, why didn't you take him? Because he's a staple. Like, if you didn't take Henderson, people would be going, but he's he's like the vice captain. He's the stone in midfield. But actually, let's take Ward-Prowse instead because he's a better player. You know.
Yeah.
But we've got the first. I don't know if you want to add anything to that. I mean, I can't think of anything else really.
No. I think you've done well, mate.
Watkins, I think, was unlucky. I think, unfortunately for him, there is an abundance of talented strikers at the moment. I mean, Danny Ings didn't even get a look in, did he? For the big squad. So
yep.
I would have liked to have seen him gone for just the effort that he puts in running the lines on the pitch, but can't have everything. Our games in the Euros. I mean, I said it earlier, and the more I'm looking at these 3 names now, is the more I'm thinking we're going out of the group stage. I mean, potentially, if we get through to these things, the first game we won't play at Wembley is the quarter-final if we win all our games. Or if we finish first in the group, that is. So our first game against Croatia, who lost to France in the World Cup final. I want to say they put us out, but I might be wrong there. I can't remember. My brain is a bit foggy.
No, I think they did.
Got some good players. If you look at the amount of Champions League winning teams that have had a Croatian in, majority of them do have one. Very technically sound, and just sort of make a big noise for such a small country. I think we're going to lose that personally. If we can, if I was Gareth Southgate and I was looking at these fixtures, I'd go, I want to draw. I want to draw out of that one. If we anything but losing is good. If we can get a draw, I'm happy. Scotland, our noisy neighbours, who have done really well to qualify. I will say that. First time they've qualified for a major tournament in a long, long time, isn't it? I can't remember. I heard the stat the other day, but I can't remember it. What do you reckon is going to happen there?
I think that's going to be a tough game. Obviously, they've got one of our boys in the left back position, Kieran Tierney. We know he's got pace. We know he's got a cross on him. And I think, didn't we lose against Scotland the last time we played him? I think we either lost or drew.
Yep.
Playing against Scotland. And to be honest, I think this is going to be one of these games. We've seen it done so many times where I think we take the opposition too lightly and end up getting a tonguing from it, and will either go 1-0 down and then they defend with Jose Mourinho style football where they
Yep.
park the bus or whatever. But yeah, that's a game I could see a potential upset on the cards or a draw.
I think for Scotland, when they look at this group, they go, okay, Croatia, we're probably not going to win that. Czech Republic's going to be a difficult game. So if we do anything in this tournament, we need to beat England. And they will put everything into winning that game. If it's the only thing they need to do in the tournament, and it not if they go out, but so do we, then I think they'll be happy with that. So as you said, I do think it's a potential banana skin waiting to happen. And the Czech Republic, if you'd given us that game 2 years ago, or even last year, when the tournament was actually meant to be, you'd go fairly confident about that. Fairly confident. But they are statistically one of the fastest growing countries in terms of football, or most improved in terms of football over the last 12 to 18 months. Our two players in their squad, who we've seen in the Premier League now, week in, week out, Vladimir Coufal and Thomas Souček, who both or one of them have been named in a lot of people's team of the season. And again, I think that's going to be a hard game. We've seen from just those two players that these guys are built different. That you're going to put in a tackle and they just get up and carry on running. You smash their face in, and guess what? They spring back to their feet and carry on till the ball's out of play. I can see a late Thomas Souček header coming in here. This absolute beast in the air.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you, 100%. I love this. Wearing the England shirt, obviously, because it's my country, it's football, we've got Euros, but I love how pessimistic we are when it comes to the England international team. It's a little bit crazy. I know, obviously, we were riding a good wave on the last World Cup. I think we did better than anyone had anticipated. Obviously, we were so close to getting to the final, but obviously the performances that we've seen post that World Cup have been average at best.
Yeah.
Haven't they?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's been a very defensive and very negative style of football. Which may be mind games a little bit from Gareth Southgate, going, well, if everyone thinks that's how we're going to play and we come out and bang, we're actually really attacking, maybe you catch them on the back foot. Part of me is really negative about it because I don't want to be disappointed. There's a lot of tournaments to get really, really excited for, and then we do shit. So I'd rather go in there going, oh, this is going to be rubbish, and then sort of be wrong. I mean, let's put it this way. We've got some exciting players. Bukayo Osaka, we both said we're really happy that he's actually made the squad. I mean, I said about the amount of games he's played this year, and potentially concerned for his development long term with not having a proper rest. You think he's going to play? He played 50 odd games this year. Potentially, what? How many games do you play if you win? Another 9. So that's 60 odd games this year. Then another season, and then although that's only going to be 38 plus the cup runs, then next year you've got the World Cup, and then see. So it's gonna be a good 2 solid years of football, thick and fast, before he gets any sort of recovery time. Which, I know they do recovery sessions, but as a young player to let his body recover properly and just have a couple of weeks off could be the difference between picking up major injuries later on in his career or staying injury free. I do think he will make a difference in some of these games. I know you said you think he might be an impact sub, but I could see him starting at least one of them, I reckon. At least. Jack Grealish. Been given a number 7 shirt. So a lot of weight on that number. What do you make of his chances of starting the first game against Croatia?
Yes, I think he will. Obviously he does have a bit of swagger about him. I mean, I remember when he first burst onto the scene playing for Aston Villa, got a little bit big for his boots, and had to be brought down a peg or two. And I think obviously Aston Villa's relegation when he was a youngish lad, I think was possibly the best thing that could have happened to him. Because I mean, since then, since his disciplinary issues, I think he's had over the last few years or so, he's definitely matured into a fantastic player. And I've got to be honest, I think he's one of the more positive players that we've seen in the build up to the Euros and the qualifiers as well. So for me, I think he can be a threat. He's not afraid to take the ball on. Granted, we have also seen he's quite prone to a slight little knock and will go down, obviously being the most fouled player in the Premier League. So yeah, I think it could be one of those positions where you mentioned it earlier about a player coming or getting fouled just outside the box, and that might be our one chance.
Yep.
So I don't want to obviously condone cheating in the game, but
if it goes for us, we'll have it.
If he gets fouled, if he gets one of these little niggles, exactly. Yeah, but cut to the chase, mate. Fucking hell. Yeah. So I think he's a fantastic player.
I agree. I think you summed that up very, very well there with his disciplinary issues and actually the fact that he's had to mature and take on the captaincy of Aston Villa, who have got a very volatile crowd at times. The other one that I'm excited to see, and I hope, in some senses, I hope the front three is a little bit like Grealish on the left, Kane through the middle, Phil Foden on the right. Maybe not. We've seen him play a number of different positions this year. Just a very exciting player for me. Or maybe we go Saka on the right, Declan Rice holding midfielder, Mason Mount, and Foden through the middle. Do you know what I mean? There is a reason to be positive about this squad. I just don't want to be. It's my that's
why
my
the bloody hell should you?
Fan power. I refuse to be optimistic about our chances in this tournament. I mean that for that reason, I haven't even looked at who we could possibly play if we get out of the group stage. We'll tackle that problem as we get to it.
That's what I was just about to say. I'll come out with the whole manager's cliche. It's like we'll take it one game at a time and focus on the next game.
Yeah, I mean we have got some big teams here. There are some big players missing for some of those teams, but you've got Belgium, France, Spain who are coming into a bit of form. Italy, who've seen a little bit of resurgence recently. Germany are playing hit and miss football at the minute. Holland on their day can beat anyone, but they can also be horrendous. So I do think there are a good 7-8 teams potentially who could win it. I just do think it who hits form at the right time, injuries in squads, and then just a little bit of luck. Sometimes that's all you need is a little bit of luck. If you had to put your money on it, who's winning?
I was literally just about to say to you that I think we should possibly make that next week's predictions. Obviously, just to do a bit of research into the teams and see who they've got, what sort of fixtures they've got coming up, and I think if I was to put any money on it in this particular point, I would go for Spain. I think this year.
You're going for Spain. You know what? I'm going to go with I was going to say Mbappe. I'm going to go with France. Mbappe, Giroud, Griezmann. Giroud's coming out top goal scorer, I reckon. And Benzema's in there as well. I mean, that's a frightening attack. What I think you should do, though, if you are still listening, is in the comment section below. Give me and Mike a team you think we should get behind after England's knocked out, or if England gets knocked out. Who should we also be rooting for that you want to hear a little bit more about over the tournament? Because I think there's probably some obscure ones in there. There's probably some obscure nations, I'd imagine. Scotland being one. A little bit odd, I will say that.
Yeah, mate, they gave us iron brew.
They get his own brew, yeah. Anything that's that colour should not be in your body. It's not good for you.
I love it.
But yeah, so pessimistic at the moment through the team selection, but yet to be proved wrong. And hopefully I am. I really do hope that. I've run out of things to say about England without being negative.
Well, I was just going to say then, just to put the positive spin on it. Obviously, we've just given our predictions as to who we think is going to be the outright winner. Where do you think England will realistically get out being optimistic? How far do you reckon we'll go?
Here's the thing, right? I said earlier, I think we're going to struggle to get out of the group. I think if we get out the group, then I'm going to go. We're getting semi-final. If we don't, then we'll be out of the group stage, won't we? You know, I don't know why I was thinking about that. Bloody bad. I
think quarters.
You think quarterfinal? Well, I mean, quarterfinal. Yeah. You would be going before the tournament. We should be reaching quarterfinals minimum. That's minimum requirement, isn't it? Really. If we get better than that, fantastic. If we do worse than that, then heads need to roll. The only other one question I do have is Harry Kane going to be on corners?
Oh my God.
Because let's not forget that was a Gareth Southgate move, wasn't it? Let's put Harry Kane on corners. Yes. No, thank you, Mr. Southgate. Get that idea out of your head now. Let's be clear about this. Harry Kane's on corners, we riot. But
do we think? Sorry, go on.
No, go on. Finish what you're saying, because I was going to go off on one.
Oh, I was just going to say, do you think we will see the return of the what was it, the waistcoat? Do we reckon that's going to be
100%
the clubber?
100%.
Yeah.
There's one thing about Gareth Southgate is he has got better with age in terms of looks, and he does dress well. I'll give him that. If I'm going to go out, I'm going to go
96. Though.
Oh, he's still missing 96, but if he goes out, he's going to do it. He's going to do it looking dapper, you know. The only other thing I was going to say is we have got fans returning to stadiums for the Euros. I know a lot of fans will be disappointed that they didn't hear anything and just got emails saying we've refunded your money, even though they bought tickets over 3 years ago. But for those lucky few who are getting to see them, fantastic. Do us proud. But unless you have anything else to add, I have been Ian.
No, I'm all good. I've been Mike.
We are FDT-TV. Make sure you're subscribed, and we will see you next